Hello, hey, thank you for being on. We are ready to get started. Tonight we are making, hopefully you have access to the recipe on your membership site. And tonight we're making sheet pan Mediterranean chicken and veggies. So this is the recipe we're going to be following. And hopefully you can cook along, but if not, it's going to be a quick and easy one that you will be able to do anytime in the future. So let's get started. I voted on today. I hope you guys all got out to vote. And anyhow, let's get started. I made a couple changes to this. So this is from a terrific site. If you're looking for really good recipes, go check out the Real Food Dietitians. I love them. They've got the best recipes. You're gonna love them too. They're easy, they're fast, they're super healthy, and they're delicious. So tonight with the sheet pan Mediterranean chicken and veggies, I made a couple changes and I'm gonna share those with you as we go. But for starters, hopefully you're able to pull up the recipe, but it calls for 1.5 pounds of boneless chicken thighs. I'm not the biggest fan of thighs. It's a texture thing for me. They're totally healthy. If you like them, have them. They don't get dried out, but I prefer the chicken breast. So that's what we're doing. So come on over and let's take a look. We've got our ingredients out here. We've got our chicken and we have got all of our veggies. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to chop them all up. And then what we do, the beauty of this recipe, I love it. You can get your protein in, you can get your veggies in, you get a delicious marinade put on there. So it tastes delicious. But the beauty of it is you cook it all on one sheet pan. And by doing that, 1, you have less cleanup. 2, it's so much more efficient. And 3, it just is all together at the same time finished, and you just pull it out and you go. So let's get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna quickly, it doesn't tell you this in the recipe. In the recipe, it just says, it has all your ingredients listed. And then what it tells you to do is to put, essentially, you put everything on your sheet pan. So you'll put all your veggies on the sheet pan, then you'll put your chicken on the sheet pan. Then we're gonna make our marinade or our sauce, which is a delicious Mediterranean Greek sauce, almost like a Mediterranean dressing. We're gonna go ahead and put that on and then we bake everything. But I do a couple things a little differently. To enhance the flavor, I cut the chicken smaller so it grabs more of that marinade so it has more flavor. And then I just made a couple other little adjustments I'll show you on the way. So let's get started with the chicken. I'm going to, you keep separate cutting boards, right? Of course, because you don't want any raw meat on the cutting board where you're going to have veggies. So here are our veggies. I just put those in our lemon. I put those together here and our feta, which we're going to throw on it at the end. But I've already taken the chicken, I've rinsed it and I've patted it dry. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to take this chicken and I'm just going to cut it, not into small pieces, but just into medium-sized pieces. So if you look here, 1 chicken breast, I've got it in 4 pieces. I'm going to go ahead and put that on my sheet pan. Now I'm doing 2 sheet pans because I'm making extra. And if you remember from any of my classes or ever hearing me talk about food prep, I always make extra at dinner. Why is that? You know why that is. It's because I want extras for lunch the next day. And I want extras to repurpose into a different dinner a couple nights later in the week. So as you can see, I'm just cutting these into 4 chunks. The funny part is these are actually a lot closer to the size of chicken thighs, which is kind of interesting. All right, got a few more here. This one's smaller, so it's only getting 3. You can see I'm making a lot here. This was 7 chicken breasts, so it's actually more than what they called for in the recipe. All right. You can see they're all pretty uniform in size too, which means they'll cook more around the same time. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands. You check out those beautiful veggies in the meantime, and I will be right back. Just want to get this raw chicken out of here. And what I'm doing is you always want to be extremely safe when it comes to raw meat and raw chicken, raw animal products. So you always want to make sure that you get absolutely no cross-contamination. So the two things you want to do is you always want to use separate cutting boards. So always have the same one for vegetables, always have the same one for meats. Maybe you noticed the one I had for meats was a glass cutting board. And the reason I use a glass cutting board for meats is because it's not porous, which means it's so much easier to clean up. So I always use glass for meat. And then I'm really comfortable just using the same wood ones over and over again for my vegetables and just washing them off, because the vegetables they're always on the same one, so they're not contaminating anything. So come on over and we'll go on to the vegetables next. What you can see here is that the recipe calls for cauliflower florets, 2 small zucchini. Those are a little bigger than small, but it's okay because we have extra chicken. A medium red onion, a medium bell pepper, and then some grape tomatoes, which I already put on the cooking sheets, and some cloves of garlic, which I also already put on the cooking sheets. So I'm gonna quickly chop these up, and then we're gonna go to the dressing and we're gonna make that. So let's get the lemon off of here. And then let's very quickly cut the onion in half. I just cut these in big chunks, the onion, because I like them to flavor everything. Now, what you'll see is that in the directions, it calls for you putting the vegetables down first and then the chicken on top. I'm just gonna mix them all together when I'm ready to put my dressing on. So for right now, I'm just gonna throw them on there, and then we'll mix them all together in a little bit. Okay, now zucchini, super easy and fast. You just slice it down the middle, and then you slice the zucchini into 1/4 inch half moon. So that's not very thick. Now we're gonna have this in the oven at 425 degrees. We're gonna have it in there for about 25 to 30 minutes. So if we did 1/4 inch thick, this is just something I think about when I look at recipes, that's about 1/4 inch. That's gonna cook so fast, it's gonna get mushy. So I am going to make bigger chunks than that because I know it's gonna be in there a while and I want it to not be too mushy when we take it out. So I'm gonna do slightly bigger chunks. Instead of 1/4 inch, I'm gonna do closer to 1/2 inch. All right, you can experiment and change these recipes up any way you like. That's the thing. Never worry about if you ever have a recipe and you think, oh, I'd love to make that, but I don't have a couple of those ingredients. It doesn't matter. Just change it up. Last night I made a turkey breast with a chipotle citrus sauce, and the citrus sauce called for chipotle peppers and adobe sauce. Well, I didn't have chipotle peppers and adobe sauce, but I had chipotle powder. So I just used that. And same with it called for the juice of some oranges and the juice of a lime. I didn't have the lime last night, but I had a grapefruit. So I made the citrus sauce out of oranges, freshly squeezed oranges and grapefruit, a little bit of grapefruit because it only called for a little bit of lime anyway, and chipotle powder. So don't ever feel stuck if you don't have all the recipes. Just switch it for what you have. It still turns out, almost always, it still turns out really good. Okay, so now we're getting done. Really fast, easy way to chop a pepper. Check this out. Instead of, you can do it this way where you cut the top off. I've done that too. But another way is you just cut down on the sides. When you cut down on the sides, just cut around that inside fleshy part. And if you get a little bit, you just kind of cut it out. It's a super fast way if you're looking for fast and efficient. Now you got it done just like that. So I'm going to put half of each pepper onto each cookie sheet. So come on over. Again, I'm going to cut these into pretty good sized chunks. Here we go. And look how beautiful it is. Now, peppers are a funny thing. Peppers are so good for you. There's more vitamin C in a bell pepper than there is in an orange. Did you know that? It's pretty amazing. But if you're prone to get arthritis, peppers have a compound in them. And the compound is called solanine. And solanine can cause inflammation in some people. So just pay attention if you tend to be achy, if your joints ache, or you tend toward arthritis. Pay attention to how you feel when you eat foods in the nightshade family. That would include peppers. It would include tomatoes, white potatoes, and eggplant. So just, if you're achy, just pay attention to that. Otherwise, they are full of nutrition and they're amazing for you. So only if you're sensitive to them. Okay, cauliflower, we're gonna cut it in florets. And here is another thing you can do with cauliflower. Check out, Gordon Ramsay has a video on it on YouTube. Cauliflower steaks. So you can chop your cauliflower like this. You can baste it with an olive oil and herb sauce, and then you can grill it. It's delicious. Or you can pop it in a hot skillet and brown it on both sides. Amazing. So that's for another night. Tonight, we're just having cauliflower florets, which is we're just cutting it into the little flowers and popping it. I'm going to cut out that section. We're popping it right on the skillet. Okay, so that's one half goes on the one sheet, and the other half goes onto the other sheet. So those out. Okay, so remember to do the steaks for a future class, to do the steaks, you take it, you cut it in half, then you cut a chunk about a half of an inch, maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a little bigger. And then you get those beautiful cauliflower steaks. Tonight, again, we're just going with florets. See this middle part? Easy enough. You just cut it out, get rid of it. And then the rest of it just turns into florets. All right, so let's make sure I leave those parts there. Come over and look how gorgeous these cookie sheets are looking. So, you know, when you're told to eat the rainbow, check it out. We've got purple and green and red and white. And if we wanted to, we could add more veggies. We could add yellow peppers. We could add broccoli. We could add anything else we wanted to on here. So we've got our veggies on here. Now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go on to the dressing, which looks absolutely delicious. So you see the dressing calls for 1/2 of a lemon. So we've got our lemons over here. And it calls for, check out our lemons. We've got our lemons over here. And it calls for dried oregano, dried basil, garlic powder, and onion powder. So we're gonna do 1/2 of a lemon. I'm gonna put them in here. I don't have my lid today, so we're just gonna kind of gently shake it, but I'm gonna put them right in here. So 1/2 of a lemon. So I'm gonna try the bigger one and see how my aim is. Never been known to have a great aim, but I could catch. All right, so 1/2 of a lemon. Hopefully I won't miss most of it. Oops, there we go. All right, so I got 1/2 lemon here. Now let's get all of our herbs in. We have, what do we have? 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. Dried oregano. If you grow a garden, there's nothing better than homegrown oregano. Nothing. And then you can grow it. You get so much in the summer that you can dry it yourself. I've done that and it is the best oregano ever. So I highly recommend it. I planted mine on Saturday. It's about this big. I can't wait till it grows. Okay, so we got our lemon in there. We got our oregano in there. We want 1 teaspoon of basil. Fun fact, if you are a Costco or Sam's Club member, you can get really great organic spices for a great price in nice big quantities. Okay, 1/2 teaspoon garlic powder. Now, I like extra garlic, so I'm probably gonna go closer to 1 teaspoon of garlic powder in there. And then onion powder, it calls for 1/2 teaspoon. I'm gonna eyeball that. It's a little more than 1/2 teaspoon, but it's good enough. All right, that's the start. Let's see if there's anything else we need to put in there. All right, juice of 1/2 lemon, oregano, basil, garlic, onion powder, salt, pepper, and a tablespoon of olive oil. So salt, they call for 1/2 teaspoon. Again, I like salt, so I'm gonna estimate. I'll probably err on the side of a little bit more, but not much. And then it calls for black pepper. I'm not gonna put that in because some of us have sensitivities to pepper, so I'm gonna leave that out. Okay, olive oil. Now we're gonna put a tablespoon of olive oil in. And, all right. Now we have that. I'm gonna just use a knife. We're gonna mix that to combine. Do you know what I'm gonna do? This is right off the cuff. You see all these, do you see all this food here, all this chicken and all of these veggies? I'm gonna do 2 things. One, I've learned from experience that if you salt your chicken or your meat before you marinate it, it just has so much more flavor. So I'm gonna just generously salt, not hammer it, but generously salt it first. 2, we're using our thinking skills. See how much is there? That is not gonna be enough for both. So while you're here with me, what we're gonna do is we're gonna double. Actually, I'm gonna triple this recipe. So I'm gonna have lots of this dressing because the last thing I wanna do is run short when I start rubbing that into the chicken and the vegetables. So I'm gonna triple it. So here we go. We're gonna do a little more lemon. This is gonna call for 2 of these lemons in the skillets. I'm gonna cut those in half and actually want more of the lemons for our dressing. So I'm just not gonna cook as many lemons. I'm gonna cut them smaller. So we got our lemons. Not easy to squeeze. These are not the softest lemons. All right, so we got our lemons. Now we're gonna do oregano. Remember, it's 2 teaspoons of oregano. So I'm gonna put 4 in because I already put 2 in and I want to triple it. So that'll give us 6. 1. Nope, that was my basil. Sorry, I jumped ahead. Called for 1 teaspoon. We're gonna do 2 of those. We're gonna do 4 more of oregano. Okay, so we got our basil and oregano. We're gonna do, remember it was 1/2 of a teaspoon of garlic. So I'm gonna put in 1 whole teaspoon. That'll give us 3 times. It was 1/2 of a teaspoon of onion powder. I'm gonna put in less than a teaspoon of that one. And then the salt, remember that was 1/2 a teaspoon. So I'm gonna put in 1 more teaspoon of salt. We're gonna skip the pepper. We're gonna put in 2 more tablespoons of olive oil. Haha, we won't run short this time. Have you ever made something like this? You're making a really special dinner and it called for a special sauce or marinade and you ran short. Is there anything more frustrating than that? You're like, I need more sauce and I'm in the middle of all this. That's not gonna happen to us tonight. So if you see here, much better. I'm just gonna get a knife and we're gonna stir that because I don't have my lid. 1 second. You know what else would work really well? One of those iced teaspoons. But the knife works just fine. So I got my Mediterranean dressing that smells so good. I'm gonna do something else here. I make lots of Mediterranean food. It's my favorite. And you know what a secret ingredient is? Of course, lemon, of course, olive oil, and of course, garlic and oregano. But something else that's not in this recipe that's really good is red wine vinegar. So I'm gonna grab some and we're gonna add some to that. I'll be right back. Red wine vinegar. How much? Since we had the juice of 3 half lemons, which was about 6 tablespoons, 2 to 3. You want 1/3 to 1/2 of the red wine vinegar to your lemon. So we're just going to do 2. That would be 1/3. All right, so we're going to do 2 tablespoons. And this makes the flavor pop. Just that little bit of a difference makes such a difference in flavor. So you know what I'm going to do to my recipe? I'm going to fill those up to the top. What I'm going to do to my recipe when I'm done, I'm going to write on here, I'd add 1, well, I'm going to write triple the dressing ingredients and add 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. That's what I'll do. Okay, so now to check off our instructions, we've put all our veggies on the cooking sheets. We've put our chicken on the cooking sheets. We've made our delicious dressing. It says put 2 lemon halves cut side up in the veggies. So what I'm gonna do, check this out. I'm gonna take our last lemon half. Instead of putting it, I'm gonna cut it in half. And each cooking sheet is gonna get 1 lemon. So we'll put 1 lemon here and we'll put 1 lemon here. And then I'm gonna get super tricky. I'm gonna take one of these lemons that's the least squeezed. That looks like this one. I'm gonna get the seeds out, cut that in half, and I'm just gonna put these in there too, because they still have some lemon flavor in them. So those are going in as well. Okay, next thing. It says now, drizzle. So it says, let me see, place the veggies, put the chicken thighs on top of the veggies and rub them down with the olive oil mixture. And they also want the herbed, easy for me to say, herbed olive oil mixture on the veggies. So now I'm gonna start to mix them in the pan, then I'll wash my hands, and then I'll go ahead and put this dressing on top. So come on over and check it out. I'm gonna take these veggies, I'm gonna spread them out, put the chicken right on top. Again, if you have a membership to Sam's or Costco, you can get wonderful, and Aldi's too, you can get wonderful organic foods at a much lower price than you would at other grocery stores. Okay, so now you see I've got some of the lemons face side up, cut side up. The chicken is on top of the veggies. And now I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Do you see how I have it? I'm just gonna take it, I'm gonna take the chicken on top, and then we're gonna spread it out the whole way. All right, spread it out. Put the lemon in, nestle the chicken on top. All right. And here comes, I gotta wash my hands. And after I do that, then we're gonna get to the good part. All right, do you see that? All right, you check that out. I'm gonna wash my hands real well and I'll be right back. All righty. What do you think? Does it look good? All right, I'm back. Now we're gonna put the sauce. I just wanna see if they tell us to reserve any. Because sometimes it'll tell you to reserve some till the end. So let's see. Toss the veggies with half of the herbed olive oil mixture. Put the chicken on top. Rub them down with the rest of it. Okay, so now it's not telling us to save any. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. my dressing. We're just gonna start. I wanna make sure that I only do half and half so I don't run short, right? So first things first. Doesn't that look so good? Wouldn't it be so sad if we got halfway through or a third of the way through and did not have any of this dressing yet left? So you know what, a rule of thumb I usually do, I just didn't think about it before we started tonight, but a rule of thumb I usually do, I always double or triple, because if I don't, I end up very disappointed. All right, so now we're just gonna rub that olive oil mixture in. Look how good this looks. You see that? That is gonna have so much flavor in it. All right, so I'm gonna rub this all in. I'm gonna make sure everything has a little bit of that dressing on it, at least a little, if not a lot. Because I like lots of flavor. Do you guys like lots of flavor? I have a story for you. There are people who are called super tasters. Have you ever heard of super tasters? Super tasters are people who have way more taste buds than the rest of us. Super tasters, things that are just way too powerful for them. So kind of like a picky kid, but they end up being really picky adults too, because they just taste things in way too much intensity. I am the opposite of a super taster. The more intense, the better. I like my coffee dark and bold and bitter. I like my tea the same way. I like the garlic strong, the onion strong. So I'm the opposite of a super taster, but that's what super tasters are. So if you ever find you're super sensitive to bold flavors, you might be a super taster. Okay, check it out. Some yucky piece of chicken that's bothering me there. I'll throw that away in a minute. Look how delicious this looks. So what we're gonna do now, just make sure everything has some. This goes in the oven. The oven is turned up to 425. I'm gonna wash my hands one more time, so check out how good it looks. All right. Okay, now some folks have taken my classes and said, teach us how to cook using herbs. Teach us how to make things taste better using herbs. Herbs are amazing. They can totally transform a dish. So this is a great example of how to use herbs. There's basil and oregano, garlic and onion. So, well, I guess garlic and onion aren't technically herbs, but you know what I mean. It's a way that we're infusing a ton of flavor. I'm going to put these in the oven. And then while this is cooking, this will cook for about 25 minutes. And while this is cooking, we're going to make a lemon tahini sauce. Okay, so hang in there. I'll be right back. Let's check out in here. So we got them in here. They're ready to cook. And then in 25 minutes, I'll pull them out. We won't be on for 25 minutes, but I'll post pictures when it's all finished. So last thing we're gonna do, we're gonna make our lemon tahini sauce. Lemon tahini sauce calls for a 1/4 cup tahini, a 1/4 cup warm water, and the juice of a half a lemon. Do you know what tahini is? Tahini is this. It's a sesame seed butter. It looks a lot like, if you've ever seen cashew butter, it looks a lot like cashew butter. But it starts to, the oil rises to the top, just like with natural peanut butter or any kind of nut butter. And what happens is then the bottom where the oil is not anymore, so the oil rises to the top, then the bottom gets pretty dry and kind of hard. So if you haven't used your tahini for a while, you got to get back in there. You got to re-stir it all up. You got to stir the oil back in to make it like a peanut butter consistency. So what we're gonna do is we're going to get a 1/4 cup tahini, a 1/4 cup of warm water, and I've already heated the water. And we're gonna stir that up, and then we're gonna add our lemon. Okay, so let's go ahead and measure this out. This is my 1/4 cup measure. I'm gonna be using most of our tahini up. We'll have a little bit left. Okay. So tahini, if you're familiar with tahini, and even if you're not, tahini is one of the main ingredients in hummus. It's that flavor that's just distinctly a hummus flavor. So you know hummus is chickpeas and lemon and garlic and tahini. So that's what gives it that flavor. There's our 1/4 cup of tahini. Here's our warm water that I heated before I came on. So we got a 1/4 cup of warm water. Stir that up. I'm going to use a fork to make life simple. So I get that going. Takes just a little bit of work to get it to mix. Okay, so we got our tahini, our warm water, our half a lemon. So once I get this all mixed up, I'll put the lemon in and then just salt to taste. And then what we'll do at the very end is you use this sauce to pour over. When you pull out your chicken and vegetables, this is a sauce you can serve on the side or you can drizzle on top. So it's almost smooth. If you get chunks like this, can you see that? You might get some chunks because it is kind of chunky. Just kind of mash it in there. Like you would mash an avocado for avocado toast. You just keep stirring it around. And then stir it for a couple more minutes. What would even be more helpful? You could do this. You have like a little magic bullet. You could pop your magic bullet in here. You could get that. That would be a lot faster than me. Now we got it. Now it's coming. Squeeze some lemon in here. Squeeze half of a lemon. And salt to taste. Oh, now it's coming. Did you see how watery it was before? Check it out. Now it's thickening up. It's really getting nice. And if you like it a little runnier, you could always add more water or more lemon juice. Then salt. Just put in a sprinkle of salt to taste. And we've got our tahini sauce. So this is all ready. When chicken's done, what we're gonna do is we're gonna sprinkle it with olives. I'm gonna get out one more thing. So check out the tahini sauce. Raw tahini, you can get any brand really. And then, let's see what I got here. Olives. So it calls for Kalamata olives, but I don't have Kalamata olives, so I have green olives. So what you do at the very end is you get your chicken out and then you pull your pan out and you're going to sprinkle some olives. And then we're going to chop up and get another cutting board. This one has lots of stuff on it. We're going to chop up our feta. I like this feta because it is sheep and goat's milk. So I just happen to really like this feta. We're going to chop up our feta. And we're going to pull out our olives. And grab a spoon. I'll pull out the olives. Me. All right. And then what we're going to do at the very end, Kalamata would be wonderful if you're an olive you are an olive lover like I am, all olives are delicious. If you have some Kalamata, that's even more, it's more genuinely Greek, authentically Greek. But hey, all olives are Mediterranean, right? So what we'll do at the very end, I'm not gonna make you hang on for 20 more minutes to wait until that chicken is done, but I will send you a picture. So what we'll do is we'll pull out the chicken and the veggies out of the oven. We'll sprinkle feta on top and we'll sprinkle olives on top. And then we will serve with, if you want fresh parsley, you can serve that as well. And then you'll drizzle this tahini sauce right on top. Mine's gotten a little thicker. So what I'm gonna do, you know what would be really good, but I didn't save any because it said to use it all. So I would also put in my recipe, next time just save about a tablespoon of this and we could pour that into our tahini sauce. Oh, look, check it out. I got a tiny bit left. But I would save a little more, maybe even a little olive oil instead of water because it'll add a really nice consistency. Stir that up. And then it's more of a drizzle. Before it was a little too thick. It was a little too much like hummus. Now we'll be able to maybe even a tiny bit more hot water. And then I'll drizzle that on top. I'll throw the olives and I'll throw the feta, and I already have parsley in the garden. So you might end up seeing parsley on top. I'll sprinkle that on top and then it's ready to serve. And then you literally serve it on the sheet pan and people just come over, you just get a big serving spoon and everyone just serves themselves. So for tonight, that is our meal. It's one and done. You don't have to make a side dish. You've got your chicken, you've got all your veggies, you've got a delicious sauce. So you've got the right amount of protein, you've got the right amount of carbs, you've got the right amount of fat. If you wanted to serve it with a little side of brown rice or quinoa, that would be amazing. So that would give you more of those carbs. And remember, serving size of protein, to get the right amount of protein, which is 20 to 30 grams per meal, the right amount is about the size of your palm or the size of a deck of cards. That's about 4 ounces. And what that will give you is 25 grams. So you're right in the ballpark of where you want to be. Load up those beautiful, colorful veggies. Do a little side of rice or brown rice or quinoa. Remember, half of your fist or half a cup. Drizzle this on top and you are good to go. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. I look forward to the next one, which will be in about a month, and we will be cooking something else really delicious. I will give you the recipe, the shopping list, everything if you want to cook along, and we'll just do what we did tonight. Thank you. I'll see you soon.